guys, I wanted to do just a quick review video about fraction operations. Okay, so we kind of have two categories. We have adding and subtracting, and then we have multiplying and dividing. So adding and subtracting, you have two different things to consider. What to do if they have like denominators and what to do if they have different denominators. That means the numbers on the bottom might be the same or the numbers on the bottom might be different. Okay? If they're the same, it doesn't matter if you're adding or subtracting, but you are just going to follow the rule of what's going on in the numerator. So if I say 1/12 plus 5/12, I have the same denominator. I'm going to keep it 12, but I'm going to combine or I'm going to add those numerators. 1 plus 5 makes 6, and it's always super important that you remember to simplify. Okay, so if I simplify, 6 over 12 is 1/2. That's my final answer. Now, they don't always simplify, but you do want to always check. All right, so second problem. I notice that they have the same denominator, so all I'm going to focus on is my numerators and my operation. So I have 13 minus 8 gives me 5. I keep the denominator that was 15, and I'm going to check. Can 5 simplify down with 15? Yes, I can divide a 5 out of both of them, and that's going to give me 1/3. That's my final answer. Okay? All right, let's do the next one in blue. If I am looking to add or subtract, and I have different denominators, then I have to try to make them the same. So I'm going to make a note that we need them to be the same. So if I look at this first question, 4 actually can go into 12. So I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to keep 1 over 12, but I'm going to change that 4 into a 12. What would I have to multiply it by to make it a 12? I'd have to multiply by 3. So I'm going to do the same thing with my numerator. I'm going to take 3 times 3, and that gives me my 9. Now that they have the same denominator, this is a basic problem. Same denominator, I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to add my numerators because it's an addition problem. 1 plus 9 makes 10, and it's always important that we simplify it. 10 simplifies with 12. I can take a 2 out of both. That gives me 5/6 as my answer. Okay? All right, let's say in your problem for adding or subtracting that you don't have common denominators, but you also can't make one into the other. So I can't turn a 3 into a 7, and I can't turn a 7 into a 3. Here's what you can do. You can find the least common multiple. What that means is the lowest number that they both go into. Now, 3 and 7 don't have a least common multiple other than their product. What I mean by that is 3 doesn't go into like 14. 7 doesn't go into 6 or 9 or 15. I would have to multiply them both together and get 21 in order for them to have a common denominator. So what that means is I took my 3 and I multiplied it by 7. So I do the same thing to the top. That's going to make 14 over 21. For my 7, I multiplied him by 3. So I do the same thing to the top. 2 times 3 is 6. Now my problem has the same denominator. I can just add or subtract my top. In this case, I'm adding. 14 plus 6 is 20. So 20 over 21, and that does not simplify, so that's my final answer. Okay? Multiplying and dividing, you do not need a common denominator. Okay? The rule is strictly multiply across. Okay, so if I can kind of do this with a really skinny color, if I am multiplying 2 over 5 times 3 over 8, all I do is go straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 8 is 40. And then obviously I'm going to want to simplify that down. 6 and 40 can both be divided by 2, so I'm going to go 3 over 20, and that is my final answer. Remember, you're always checking to simplify, even if it doesn't work, okay? All right, let's try the next one. Multiplication. I don't need a common denominator. I'm going to go straight across. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 times 11 is 33. The only numbers that go into 33 are 3 and 11, so I notice I can take a 3 out of both. It's going to take me down to 8 over 11, and that would be my final answer, okay? All right, as for the last one, division. I know there's a lot of middle school explanations for what the pattern is. Some people say the keep, flip, change. They say KFC, keep, change, flip, whatever your acronym is it. but you have to change the sign to multiplication, and you have to flip, or let me write it bigger, or you need the reciprocal. So you are going to multiply by the reciprocal to show division. Okay, so if I go ahead and I take my term right now, I have 1 over 12, change it to multiplication, and I'm going to take the reciprocal, so 3 over 5. Same thing as before, I am going to multiply straight across. So 1 times 3 is 3, straight across. 12 times 5 is 60, and I can simplify that down. Both of those numbers are divisible by 3, so 1 over 20 is my answer. Now, on the last problem, I went ahead and divided by a whole number. Remember that a whole number is always over 1. So if I'm going to keep the first term, change the sign, and then use my reciprocal, it's going to be 1 over 5. Going to multiply straight across. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. Those numbers do not simplify, so that is your final answer. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.